Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, last time we got together, we talked about how memories are made, how they are creations inside of us. And you should see up in here somewhere a link to that particular video. Because I plan on doing more of these on different subjects, but they're all going to be interrelated. So, let's see. Now, this time we talked about, I mentioned that we were going to talk about when we recall a memory. What's the process when we recall a memory? And that's what we're going to talk about now. So when we recall a memory, there's about 4 things that are important in that recall. First of all, it's where the memory is stored, which is in the subconscious mind. Then that memory that is retrieved from the subconscious needs to be interpreted, because all it is data, and the data needs to be interpreted before it develops a signal. And that signal goes to the body. And then the body and the active mind talk to each other for a very short period of time and come to an agreement as to how the body is going to respond to the memory. And then the conscious mind comes into the picture and tells you what's going on in the body. So let me lay it out and we'll see if it makes sense. Now, if it doesn't, or you have any questions, put them down below and I'll try to answer them and get back with you, and we'll see if it affects the model that we're going to be working on. So, what are those 4 elements again? First of all, it's a subconscious mind. Subconscious mind. What's in the subconscious mind? Memories. That's all, only memories. So, we have that little square up here, and that's where the memories are. Then they come down into the active mind. Active mind. Now, what's the active mind? The active mind, in my model, is a combination of the mind, the brain, the central nervous system. All the information in the body is going through, interfacing with the body, goes through the central nervous system. So now we got to put the body in. So now, and I only draw stick figures. That's all I draw. Sometimes very simple things. So here we got a stick figure that represents the body. And then down here, I'm going to put the subconscious mind. I mean the conscious mind. Conscious mind. Now, the one thing I'm not going to put in here, because there's a lot of controversy about it, is how the memory is signaled, how it is signaled to come out of the subconscious. What's the triggering mechanism that causes that to happen? Well, there's all kinds, and we don't know which one works the best. So make believe at some time you're going to get a signal from someplace, a trigger that causes the memory to come out of the subconscious mind and move down to the active mind, where it's interpreted. I dropped the cover for my pen. So, this I call data number 1. Comes out of the subconscious mind, where we stored it, and we already talked about nobody knows where the subconscious mind is. Nobody knows where your memories are stored. And you don't know that each one of your memories is a creation. You think it's a real thing. You think it's an event. You're remembering an event. And that's what the memory is. No, it's not. It's not the event. It's an interpretation of the event made by you based on your past experiences. So it's not the event. You can't test it. The event's gone. You have nothing to test it against, except other people's created, distorted memories. Interesting world we live in. So now we have data 1, and all it is information. All it is, all your memories, wherever they're stored, is just information. So that data comes down into your active mind, and you interpret that information. Now, the interpretation, because I better put that in. This is interpretation. 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 So now we got an interpretation. Now as I go through this, I'm going to use a negative interpretation, a bad response. Why? It's more fun. And besides, it represents survival, and it's what you respond to the easiest and the quickest. So you'll have some background in this. Now here it is, and whatever it is, it's going to be not good. So we're going to call it bad memory. So this is the mind, the brain, the central nervous system. Now, every thought you have in your mind, in your brain, every thought you have is going to produce signaling, electromagnetic and chemical signals moving through that part of you. And so out of the active mind comes signals. So now you get a signal out. The signal is going to go to the body. And basically it goes all over because it follows the blood, it follows the hormones, it follows neuropeptides, it follows all of that. All of those get signaled, and they end up telling the body what to do. Now I want you to recognize it's not the memory that's telling the body what to do. It is your interpretation of the data. And your interpretation is going to be much like the original. Why? It's the same data. It's the same data that you stored. You didn't add to it. It's just what you stored from the original interpretation of the event. Then it goes to the body, and now we got signals going to the body, changes bodily systems. If it's a bad one, you could have depression, anxiety, all kinds of bad things. Now here's the thing, when you're depressed or anxious, You're depressed right down to your cellular level. It's just not what you're aware of consciously. Your whole body, your whole structure is depressed. Terrible thing. So as the body begins to change its systems, it sends back information to the mind as to the status of these changes based on these signals. That input is now is data 2. You got more information going back to this part of you that makes interpretations. So it is a feedback system. Oh, I'll call it a loop. Feedback loop. So this signals come out, go to the body. The signals are based upon data 1. Comes out, so you might say you have signal 1. Signal 1 goes to the body begins to change, sends back information. Now you got 2 inputs. You got data from the body, and you got the original information that you stored in the subconscious mind. So now there's another interpretation. Different data. Now you have signal 2. And signal 2 comes over here. The body changes its systems again, new information. And then it sends back where it's at in relationship to the new information. So you see this feedback loop? This feedback loop goes really fast. How fast? Well, input data is in millions of bits per second, and subconscious operates in billions of bits of data per second. So this thing is flying around, and within nanoseconds, it reaches homeostasis based on everything that's happening. Now we already know from other things that we talked about in the last video that the conscious mind operates maximum 100 bits per second. So you got millions and billions of bits per second, and then you got your favorite friend, the conscious mind, operating at only 100 bits per second. Can't possibly know what's going on up here. Can't possibly know. But you'll believe that it does because it's the conscious mind and that's your programming. So here we are. This is going on. You're developing new interpretations until you reach homeostasis. Okay? So there might be, there's going to be many different signals that are flying around and getting acted upon by the body and then reacted upon or reinterpreted by the active mind. And then your conscious mind gets awakened and says, oh my God, things are happening. Let me take a look. So your conscious mind will look at the body. And it'll say, well, the body is responding to the memory. Body doesn't respond to the memory. Body can only respond to the signaling from the interpretation in the mind. A very important thing to remember. The body only responds to the mind. Doesn't respond to the outside environment, which we talked about in the last video. Oh, by the way, what's in the outside environment? everything. Why do we only see what we do in our world? Because we filter out so much. We never see what's outside of us. We only see what's inside of us as signals from the active mind. So now, after a while, the memory subsides, dissipates. You cry, you go out and eat a good dinner, you do all kinds of stuff. And then the memory, the signaling stops to the trigger stops, and you can't carry that energy forever, so it begins to wane. As it wanes, you form another memory that goes up here based upon this information. Well, what happened to the original memory? Well, now this is another, there's no facility in the subconscious mind to make copies. So this is not a copy of the data that goes for interpretation. It's the memory. It's the data. It's all the data. So all the data is in here from the memory, the original memory. Then you manipulate it through this feedback system, and now it's a different memory. And then you store it, and then you store it up here. So you change your memories all the time. Now, scientists and other people are going to talk about how it does that in the limbic system and how it communicates and all these things going back and forth and up and down. Don't know where the memory is. Can't put a memory in your hand. Can't put one part of the memory in your hand as a physical thing. But the brain is physical. It's an object. Well, if it's an object, and there's something in the object, you ought to be able to find what's in the object. Can't find it. They got a lot of theories. Can't find where the memory is. There's reconsolidation. That's one theory about where memories are stored in the brain, physical. And the other one that's kind of popular is that it's in the synapses between the neurons. Got two opposing ideas. Can't prove either one conclusively. Now here's something you could think about. If I'm doing a test and I believe that the memory must be in the mind, in the brain, I'm going to conduct all kinds of experiments very thoroughly because I know that it's there, and you'll find evidence that it's there. And the other guy who thinks, well, it's in a different place, and he believes it, he will find evidence that it's in a different place. Because the scientist, the investigator, is going to find what they believe is there. If they believe it's not in the brain, they'll find evidence that it's not there. It's like the placebo. If you believe you're sick, you're sick. If you believe you're not sick, you're not sick. Funny world we live in. It's an illusion. But what a magnificent illusion. So now you have an idea of a different model. See, you got this model, you put it down here, your memory, and it goes up here. That's another feedback loop. The information is interpreted, goes to the body, back and forth. That's another feedback loop. And out of that comes your life. Out of that comes how you interpret your world. You want to change it? You want a different world? A better world for you? Change your memories. Which are your beliefs? You change your beliefs, you change your world. An interesting concept. So now, I want to leave you with that. And next time we get together, we'll look at something else that may be of interest. In the meantime, take care, be good to yourself, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.